All right, so here we are. And having a block and the belt. And we will start lying down with the block under the sacrum. So taking your time getting there, coming down onto your mat. Maybe just taking a few moments, letting that body relax a little. And then as you're ready, block goes underneath the legs there, lifting up, sliding it up onto the sacrum, and easing those legs out to straight. You can use the hands on the block there, giving a push, getting a little space between the vertebrae, space in the hip sockets and all that. I'm starting with just a few deep, more easeful breaths, sort of just lying on that block. With a big inhale up into the lower belly, exhale, pouring down the front of the legs, pouring up through the torso, into the shoulders, into the floor. And then getting a little more organized, cooperating with the block. Making the legs parallel, toes and knees to the ceiling, bringing the legs right together, maybe hip distance apart. Really two long parallel lines there. Kind of press of the back of the legs toward the floor, and then pulling a little up through the abdominal muscles, stretching yourself over the block. Feeling that breath as you inhale, that upper chest has to expand a little more, the ribs have to expand a little more, all the way up into the lower belly, and then exhale, pouring out. And there's a certain element of melting over the block, but now that we're cooperating, there's also an arch over the block as we take that exhale. And let's bring the arms up overhead. Stretching the arms overhead, just noticing what that does, that effect in the rest of the body. And then long reach through the fingertips, pressing the arms back down alongside. And then bringing those arms up overhead again. This time as we press the arms down, we'll lift our right foot a few inches off the floor, maybe closer to a foot. So it's about parallel to the floor with the right leg. As we press the arms down, the right leg is up. And then arms overhead, reaching long through the right heel, bringing the right leg back down. And then the left, pressing those arms down, lifting the left leg. And then arms back up overhead, reaching the right leg down. Let's do that once more. And pressing the arms down to lift the right leg. Take a breath. And then arms overhead, right leg down. And same thing with the left. And then you can just keep those arms overhead, bring them to the side, bring them back down wherever you want, taking a couple easeful breaths again, a little bit more of them melting over the block. And then we will bend the knees, lifting up off that block, rolling down, landing on the floor. And getting your belt. And we'll hinge the right leg in. Take a couple moments, letting this hinging in, release the lower back a little more. And then belt around the right foot, extending the right leg up, pressing up through the right foot to the ceiling, left foot into the floor. And then we will flex that left foot, sliding the left leg out to straight, reaching long through both heels. And also long through the top of the head, a little feeling of the core anchoring down into the floor, in the center of the body. And belt into the right hand, bringing that right leg out to the diagonal side, the open side. And trying to keep reaching through the right leg, so you might be doing most of the holding of your right leg with the belt on the arm, but still keep some extend through the right leg as if it could hold itself there. Couple more breaths here. And then we will bring that leg up, pass off to the left hand, right arm out to the side, taking that right leg over to the left, easing your way over. So if this is too much, you can always bend that right leg and let the inside of the right foot rest on the inside of the left leg. And then as we're pressing away through the right foot over there to the left, pulling back with the abdominal muscles, almost like you're about to roll yourself back onto the center and bring the leg up. Little work in the core, drawing all the way up through the torso, out the front of the shoulder, out the right fingertips. And see if you can feel a press with the back of that right arm toward the floor. And a couple more breaths here. And bringing that right leg back up to the center and bringing it down. Bend both legs again. And hinging the left leg in. Take a few moments there with that left leg hinging easily in, letting the back rest against the floor. And then belt around the left foot, extending the left leg up, right foot down into the floor. Taking a few breaths here makes it a little easier to extend the hamstring on the left leg when we have our standing leg bent. And then flexing that right foot, sliding the right leg out to straight, reaching long through both legs, reaching long through the top of the head. And we're also anchoring down against the floor a little bit. So we're doing another sort of cooperating with gravity, cooperating with the pulling down. Couple more breaths here. And then belt into the left hand, bring that left leg out to the diagonal side. Anchoring down with that right hip a little. Reaching out through the left leg, keeping the left leg active there in the belt. And a couple more breaths here. And then coming back up to the center, passing off to the right hand, left arm out to the side, bringing that left leg across to the right, rolling all the way over. Maybe using the bent left leg if that would be better for you right now. And as you feel that little bit of a press through the left leg, out the left heel to the right there, pulling a little in with the abdominal muscles toward the spine, toward the left, almost like you might roll yourself back to the center. And then let that pull do a little spiral up and out the left shoulder, out the left fingertips, back of the left leg, left arm, doing a little press into the floor. And one or two more breaths here. And then coming back to the center, taking the belt off that left foot, bringing the left leg down, interlock the fingers, take a big stretch overhead, long through the legs, maybe a little squinging. And then we will make our way up to sitting. Sitting in Sukhasana. And then finding that sitting long and spacious spine. And slowly release with the arms, letting the hands rest on the knees. Taking a few breaths here. Flattening and lengthening up the wall behind you. And then let's reach out wide through the collarbones, through the fingertips. Breathing those arms up overhead, and we'll do the cactus pull with the arms, pulling the shoulder blades down to pull the elbows down, a little press back with the back of the arm, but try not to stick the rib cage forward. And then extending up. Let's do that 3 more times. Pulling down, lifting up. Oh, I think I could count to 3, but we all know I can't, so I think that was 4, but there we are. Coming forward and over. And coming up, unfurling that spine. So remembering which leg is in front as we bring the legs out to straight. Let's see, I'm going to turn our usual sidewaysness. Oh, there we go. All right, Dandasana. Using those arms alongside again, finding the length here. And then let's bend the right leg. So one option is to keep your foot on the floor here, or maybe crossing it over the left leg. Doing your best to have that right foot grounded down, long through the top of the head. Reaching through the left leg, pressing that down toward the floor. Let's interlock the fingers, giving the elbows a pull. Pressing up, grounding down. So really lift through the core there. Then we're going to twist to the right, bringing the arms parallel to the floor. Big inhale and exhale, reaching wide, fingertip to fingertip. Pressing especially the back of the right arm, your back arm away. And then with great relief, dropping the arms, getting hold of the right leg, stretchy, deepening into the twist. Coming back to the center, we'll do the same thing on the other side. Let's bend the left leg, crossing the left foot over, standing on the right, long through the top of the head, and interlocking the fingers. Palms up to the ceiling, grounding down. A little more length if you can find it. And then we'll twist to the left, arms parallel to the floor. Lift a little higher, big wide reach, especially reaching back through that left arm, pressing the back of the left arm away. Trying to breathe. And then releasing with the arms, holding on to that left leg, deepening more easily into the twist. Coming back to the front, extend that left leg out, taking a short forward bend, evening out the two sides. And then back to Sukhasana, other leg in front. And let's come forward. Nice big breaths into the back of the body. And then let's roll ourselves up, really contracting back into the spine. And we'll take a couple ripples here, letting that upper chest lift and coming forward, contract and round back. And we'll do that somewhere between 4 and 6 more times, depending on how quickly you're going. And then we will finish with this rippling back up onto the sitting bones, letting all that settle in your body for a few breaths. And then let's make our way to downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. And walking the dog or anything else you want to do here. And then finding the best downward facing dog you can do at this moment. Nothing moving but the breath. And let's lift and forward to the plank. Long and flat against the ceiling. So we'll hold this plank for about 30 seconds. You can bring the knees down or go to child's pose if you like. Where every breath is a subtle action through the body. So every moment, every breath while holding this plank, it's a little bit different. I think we're getting pretty close to our 30 seconds. Let's take 3 more deep breaths. And bringing the knees down. Take a nice long pull back into child's pose, lifting up the base of the wrists and then letting yourself settle back. Coming forward and into the Sphinx. Reaching out through the fingertips. Trying to press the base of the wrist a little down toward the floor. So this is also a sort of a wrist stretch here as we extend out through the lower arms. And pulling yourself forward and up, wide collarbones, a little reach back through the legs. And a few breaths. Inhaling up the front, exhale, pouring down the back. Maybe imagining that block on your sacrum there. And then coming down, take a breath there, letting the back relax. And then we will peel ourselves back up. Maybe with a little ripple along the way to downward facing dog. And then we will go through a vinyasa, any version you like. Coming forward to the plank, I'm going to do the kneeling plank myself, bringing the knees down, trying to keep the spine long, and chaturanga, and upward facing dog or the cobra, and then back to downward facing dog. Let's lift our right leg up, reaching long through the heel, reaching a little longer. A dog at the high fire hydrant, bending the knee, opening the hip. Keeping that inner left heel anchored down, feeling that long stretch down the left inner thigh into the floor. And then extending the right leg out through to the lunge. And bringing the left knee down, Jayasana, coming up. Inhaling up the front, exhale, pouring down the back. And then 3 of those cactus pulls here. Pulling the elbows down and lengthen up. Twice more. And then namaste in front with some of that same strength like the cactus pull. And namaste into the floor, straighten up the left leg. And then we are going to come forward into a supported warrior 3. So maybe a block there for the hands. So coming up. So we're going for a long flat line with our left leg parallel to the floor rather than a standing split. Then look back there at your left toes. You want them facing the floor. And a long line there. And even if your torso's coming forward and down a little, think long and flat against the ceiling. And then taking a bend in the right knee, pulling the crease of that right hip joint back, pressing through the left heel. And then bringing the left leg down next to the right. So we're in a bent knee, forward bend. Relax the head and the neck. And extending those legs. And we're going to take a twist to the right. So have a little bend in the knees still if needed. Maybe block under the left hand as we twist right. Pulling up through the right fingertips, feeling a press away with the back of the right arm. All of that work in the right arm supported by the core. And then a big reach around into Utkatasana, the chair pose. Bending the knees, hinging both hips back. pressing the feet into the floor, coming up to standing, unfolding all those joints, flattening out. And let's come back over. Big inhale up. And exhale, diving over. Concave back, halfway up, folding over. Jumping or stepping back through the vinyasa or not, downward facing dog. And let's do that on the left, lifting the left leg up. And then bending the left knee, dog at the high fire height. Keeping that right heel anchored down and toward the center line. And then there's a long stretch down the inside of the right leg into the right foot into the floor. And then through to the lunge. Bringing that right knee down, coming up into Jayasana. And 3 of those cactus pulls here. And namaste in front. And into the floor. Straighten up the right leg. Coming forward to a supported warrior 3. Maybe using the blocks or just being on tippy fingers. And then you can look back with the right toes pointed toward the floor. Right leg feeling long and flat against the ceiling. And even though we might be tilted forward in the torso, we still want sort of a long and flat through the top of the head feeling. Couple breaths here. And then bending that left leg, hinging back in the hip, pressing back through the right heel. And then just bring that right leg down next to the left with the bent knees. Release the head and the neck. Deep breath, letting go. And extend the legs back up to straight or as straight as you can as we twist to the left. Reaching up with the left arm, pressing the back of the left arm away. But supporting that left arm with the whole torso. And a big reach around with the left arm, bringing you into Utkatasana, the chair pose. And pressing down to come up, unfolding all those joints up to Tadasana Samastiti. And then release the hands. Let's circle those shoulders up the front, down the back. 3 more times. Letting everything move, getting all that crunchy stuff crunched out, going the other direction. And one more front to the back, interlocking the fingers. Lengthening up the front of the body to lift the chest, to lift the chin. And coming over, pressing out through the hands. Release the hands. Concave back, folding over. So here we still are. And we're going to lift our left leg up into that supported warrior three. And then, as you might have suspected, we will be twisting to the right here into Parvrita Ardha Chandrasana. There we go. So you can always do this with both feet on the floor if you want more like a rotated triangle. All right, here we go. Lifting up with that right arm. Really pulling up, strong core. One more breath here. And then letting that right leg bend gently, setting the left foot down. Let's turn to the elephant rider. Stretching out those inner thighs. Pressing down into the floor to come up into the three-pointed star. Reaching out. Pressing the arms down, feet to parallel. And let's rotate that right leg out 90 degrees into the warrior two. Inner thigh to the inner knee over the foot. And dancing warrior. Anchoring that right hip down. And into the triangle Trikonasana, tilting over. Feeling that little bit of twisting to the left. And let's go back to the warrior two, bending the right knee, feeling that nice pull from the right knee to the left hand to bring you up. And dancing warrior. And this time into the side angle, keeping that right leg bent. Big reach out, elbow to the knee or maybe to the floor. And left arm over the ear, or you can keep it up to the ceiling. Couple more breaths here. And a big reach around with that left arm. Turn it to face the right leg. Stepping back to the flank. Through the vinyasa. Downward facing dog. 3 deep breaths here. And then we're going to lift the right leg up. So it's still our right leg. And through to the lunge. Coming up in either the warrior one or the high lunge. And then coming back down, and we'll pull that left knee forward and under, sitting into Matsyendrasana at the front of the mat. Long through the top of the head. And then we will twist to the right. Inhale and exhale, using as much pull with that left arm wrapped around it. Press and anchor with the right as you want. Coming back to the center, disentangling our legs, coming up into the standing forward bend. So I'm just going over to my other side here. Taking a few breaths here. And then coming up to standing big front body yawn. And pressing the arms down. And just one circle front to the back with the shoulders to interlock the fingers behind. Lengthening up the front of the body to lift the chest, to lift the chin. And coming forward. And then release those hands. And so here we go. We're going to lift our right leg up, back to that supported warrior 3. And then twisting to the left, rotated half moon, Parvrita Ardha Chandrasana. And the more you twist and lift through that torso, kind of the more you have to work that right leg in the air, really pressing back through the foot like you're standing on the opposite wall. And then we're trying to breathe. And bending that left leg, floating as best you can, the right leg down to the floor, turning to the elephant rider. And then pressing into the feet, rotating your way up. 3-pointed star. Pressing the arms down to parallel, feet to parallel. And rotating the left leg out 90 degrees. Into the warrior 2. Inner thigh to the inner knee to the center of the foot. And dancing warrior. And we'll go into the triangle Trikonasana, hinging over. Feeling that little twist to the rightness. And then coming back to the warrior two, reaching through the right fingertips through the left inner thigh, out the left knee to bring you back. Dancing warrior again. And into the side angle Parsvakonasana. And so you can have the left elbow on the knee or on the floor, and the right arm over the ear, or maybe straight out from the shoulder. Getting a little longer with each breath. And then a big reach around. Turning to the lunge, stepping back to the plank, through the vinyasa, downward facing dog. And then lifting our left leg up again. And through to the lunge. And then bringing that right leg forward and under to sit in Matsyendrasana at the front of your mat. And we will twist to the left. Inhale and exhale. Reusing those arms a little more so you can be a little softer in the torso and just be receiving the twist there rather than having to do it so much. And coming back to the front. And then we will disentangle the legs, extend them straight out in front. And coming forward, Paschimottanasana. We're feeling the breath expanding the ribs to the side and the back. And then rolling yourself down to the floor. And we'll do the bridge pose, bending the knees. So you could always do the block and bridge pose if you would rather. And then as you're ready, peeling that spine up off the floor, interlocking the fingers underneath. Pressing down to lift up. Inhale makes a little more space in the front of the body. Exhale, we lift up into the space. And then rolling down, vertebrae by vertebrae, landing on the floor. And let's find our block again. And we'll do the block under the shoulders. All right, and so with the legs, if it works out all right, let's try to do Sukhasana with crossed legs. So if that's too much, because it can be a little bit of a strain on the hips, sometimes the knees, you can do Baddha Konasana, feet together, or you could use the legs straight out in front. And then, meanwhile, back up here in the top half of the body, easing your way over the block. And here we are, breathing into that lower belly. Feeling the progress of the breath through those hyperextended ribs. You expand a little to the side or the back of the ribs. If you'd like to bring the arms overhead, you can bring those arms overhead. And if you have those crossed legs, changing the cross of the legs. And a few more breaths here. And then we will make our way off the block and down to Shavasana. Letting go of all effort, just resting against the floor. Easier said than done. Noticing all those little shifts in your body as it starts to let go. Especially in the first 30 seconds to a minute, it might mean that you need to actually adjust or shift something a little more actively. And then breathing back into your body, into this room. Moving the fingers and toes, getting the circulation going. Oh. Stretching arms up overhead. Bending the knees. And we will make our way up to sitting. And sitting in any comfortable position with that long and spacious spine. Taking a few more moments, sitting quietly inside yourself. Namaste. Thank you for coming. So let's see. There we